In this Planet Zoo tutorial video, I'm going to be showing you all the tips, tricks and building hacks that you need to know to create wonderful, beautiful and amazing zoos in Planet Zoo. This video is going to be more tailored to the Sandbox mode players. So if you did click on this video hoping for like a franchise mode layout or tutorial, don't worry, I have got that on the channel. I will link that video in the description down below. But today is going to be mainly focused on Sandbox mode, where you will see we are currently in Nootropic Zoo, a zoo that I created. And hopefully by the end of this video, your zoo building capabilities will increase. Hopefully you'll learn a couple of things. I'm going to show you a couple of things what I've done personally while creating this zoo, what you're looking at, and yeah, hopefully these tips and tricks and these building hacks will help you. Right, let's get straight into it and talk about my first, would you call it a building hack? My first points, my first big tip, and that's choosing your path. Now you'll have to excuse the pun because I literally mean choosing your path, and choosing your path. You've got two decisions to make when you start a zoo. Are you going to be off the grid or are you going to be on the grid? This zoo, what you're looking at now, is all built on the same grid. Now there's disadvantages and there's advantages to each different path. Let me explain. What I mean by on the grid is this whole zoo is built from the entrance. Whatever the grid the entrance is on, the rest of the zoo will follow. You can see if I go to place a path, it will line up perfectly with the building pieces. See how it lines up with the floor there, and anywhere I go. So if I want to run a path underneath here like I have for the entrance, I can do as well. And this carries over in every single building you see in this zoo. All the walls, all the paths and all the flooring are all on the same grid that I started with the entrance. And the main advantage of doing this, so advantage number one, is it's so much easier to fit things in and plan stuff out. For example, I know everything's going to be aligned, so if I want to just create a path here and think, oh, I just want to bang a habitat in here, so let me just close this path off like this. If I then go on construction pieces, or I could just grab a construction piece. Say I want a plaster piece, I just grab one from another building, I press duplicate, I press place, when it stops bugging out of course, I press place like that, and I know that it's in line with the path I've just placed, and it's in line with the rest of the zoo and the rest of the walls. You can simply just click on it and then click on this button here, split from group, and now it's still on the same grid but on a different grid, if that makes sense. So it's on its own grid, but it's still in line with everything else you have in the zoo. So when you go to delete the actual building, if you've done something wrong like this, it don't delete everything else in your zoo. And it is just like ease of access. Like, it makes it so much easier when placing floors, when placing, well, pretty much anything when placing it. It makes it so much easier. The second major advantage of this is that you do not really need to worry about your paths as much. You will find it very easy to place paths because we're not using the normal pathing system. We're using on the grid pathing system like you just seen me doing. So I would never in this zoo just start placing a path like this, because I need to keep everything on the same grid, don't I? So we need to press align to grid, and then we need to align everything to the same grid. So you never really need to worry about paths. And I know that paths in this game can be a pain in the ass, but building stuff on the same grid in the whole zoo, it takes away the pain in the ass element of the pathing system. And finally, advantage number 3 of building everything on the grid is that you will find it will take a lot less time to build stuff, because you don't have to worry about pathing system, because you're not doing a load of curvy buildings and trying to figure out how the path will fit in. And because you are on the same grid, so you can just copy and paste stuff over from other builds, you will find you will build stuff faster. And when you're building at larger zoos like this, you know what I mean? Work smart, not hard. Now let's talk about the disadvantages of building in this way. To create a whole zoo on the grid like this, your zoo can kind of look a little bit boxy and samey. Everything can look either square or rectangle, and that's a problem you're going to have to deal with and try to find out a way to make it not look like that. Adding a lot of design, like you can see most of my habitat creations have got a lot of detail in, will take away that boxy element of your zoo. But you will be able to see they are in square segments, each habitat. I mean, if I just zoom into this splash pad here and this kind of like plaza area, you can get bends and curves, and I would suggest adding stuff like this to take away the boxy elements of your habitats and buildings. Just remember, your water will obviously also be on the grid, so it will be square like you see on the outside of this restaurant here. And where the flamingo habitat is, where the moat of the flamingo habitat is, it's still all on the grid. 4x4 meters on the grid, isn't it? You can't really get that natural flowing rivers and lakes kind of scene without doing it on the grid. So that is the two major decisions that you need to decide on, the two paths you need to go on. Are you going to have everything on the grid, or are you just going to free build everything? It's totally up to you. Once you have made that decision, obviously there's some tips and tricks and some building hacks that I can now show you when creating your zoos. First thing I'm going to say is look at reference images. Honestly, look at reference images over zoos. Now remember, you're not playing in franchise mode. You do not need to like capitalize on profit and stuff, so you don't need a shop where your entrance is and stuff like that. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it, but try to keep things realistic, and that's where the images of real zoos come in. If the floor is right, the zoo will look right. Like having a food court area like you see here on the left next to like a plaza area where your guests can chill out gives it the look that the zoo is functional, and it adds to the realism aspects as well. Have your information centre at the start of your zoo and your information desk inside your information centre, so before your guests can go and explore your zoo, they can get all the information they want. And by trying to think about realistic aspects, it will make your zoo look better as a whole. So you're ready to create your first habitat. If you're not used to it already, get to learn how to use the no barriers. It will make your habitats look like this and not have that in-game disgusting barriers what we've all used and we've all seen before. You want to be creating custom floors, custom barriers and custom hard shelters like you see for this aardvark habitat. And if you don't know how to do that yet, or you're not at that level yet, then learn. It's all about the practice. Do you know what I mean? You might have like about 5 or 6 sandbox zoos before you find one where you have got enough practice in to be happy with. And just a shameless plug here, if you do want any tutorials on custom buildings or custom fences or how to use no barriers, I've got all those tutorials on my channel. Go and look them up, they will help you. As you can see, custom floors and custom walls really do make anything, not just habitats, but as you can see, this restaurant come alive. And add water. I love adding water to pretty much anything. As you can see, I've added water to this restaurant. We've got water on the splash pad. We've got water inside indoor habitats, and we've got specialized water features with hidden seats, which is the next building hack what I'm going to show you. That's right, you're looking at something what has hidden seats in, so our guests can actually sit around these custom made seats, because all we had to do was place the actual seats underneath. And I'm going to destroy this right now to show you what I mean. So let's just destroy it, let's get rid of it, and you'll be able to see that a seat under the facilities tab, well, you know where to find seats, is underneath there. And if you place them on a path underneath anything, your guest will soon will still sit on them. Think outside the box, think how you can get more creative, and think how you can add even more detail to an already detailed build. Let's put those building pieces back now to make it look better, and hopefully our guests will enjoy a sit down there. A lot of people, when building sandbox zoos, do struggle with gap filling. I've had so many comments saying what you do about your gaps, and honestly, it's not as hard as you think, especially when you're building on the grid like this, because you're left with square gaps like this. The perfect thing to do with a square gap like this is to do what I've done over here and just add walls. And once you've added walls, you can do what I've done over here and just add planters. Honestly, just add a load of foliage. It will make not only your zoo come alive and look a hell of a lot better because it's got more green in it, and you see that in zoos in real life as well, but you fill in your gaps. You can see that seat I've just showed you, that was a gap. I just filled it with water and added a custom made seats. All these planters with seats, there was gaps, so I filled them with planter. Same here, another planter, and you'll see so many different planters if I just zoom out, and what was gaps, like you can see here. Obviously I've still got this one to do. Now I know I'm kind of like quick firing these tips and these building hacks at you quite quickly. If there's anything you are particularly worried about or particularly struggling with when creating a zoo from scratch, then just let me know in the comment section below. I will reply to you and I'm here to help. Let me be your Planet Zoo guide. Right, let's talk about facilities. As for like guest facilities, you can see I've got like a food court over here, but toilets and stuff is supposed to be where toilets are supposed to be. So if we go into our exit building, you'll see we've just got a toilet in there. Simple but effective. The guests can use it and it's hidden away as well. Over here you see a guest facility, a toilet more in plain sight, kind of like made a point of, and it's same for staff facilities as well. You will see some for staff facilities will be tucked away and hidden away within like backstage areas of builds like this. I might like create a custom wall here and just hide a keeper's hut in and stuff like that. But sometimes I like to make a point of it as well and have a whole building designated for staff. I don't know what it is about people who play this game, but you lot seem to overthink everything. Like, where do I put my staff facilities? Well, put them wherever you want. Put them hidden away if you don't want them out, or if you do want to make a point of them, then make a real point of them and create a whole like designated staff area kind of thing, or a staff building like I've just showed you. I've got two final tips what I want to share with you. Now, the second to last one is detailing. And I don't mean detailing as in like adding foliage and rocks. I mean like the tiny details, which from this angle you probably can't tell, but once you zoom in, it really does make any build, and it really does make your like zoo as a whole come to life if you're adding these details and focusing on the details. Some of them you might think are a bit pointless, but honestly they all come together in the end. Like this grid where the water feature is. Obviously, it's not usable, the water can't actually go in there, but it looks real and it adds to the aesthetic of the splash pad. Custom made signs and fonts throughout your zoo, and custom made lights like you can see here on this plaster wall, on the external plaster wall. If you go inside, you will see further custom made lights, and see here even further custom made dangly lights and a little water feature. All these details really do add up, I promise. Adding little twigs to your foliage throughout your zoo like this, or adding mud to where your animals would normally drag in mud and leave mud patches. By the way, obviously you can't have real mud. This is the moss decal. I've just recolored it to brown. This is a bit of hack for you, and it looks like mud. Now bear with me 1 minute, I'm just going to show you another way of using this same decal. You might guess it. If you do end up guessing it, leave it in the comment section below what I'm going to show you now, if you do know. And there we go, if you didn't guess it, it's water. If you just recolor it to blue, your mud now looks like puddles and drips of water. So add it near your backstage areas where you will add water. Vents in the inside of hard shelters. Potted plants on the interior of your buildings. All these details really do come together, honestly, they do. And finally, I brought you back to the entrance of Nootropic Zoo to give you my final tip, and probably the most important tip, and the tip I wish people would have told me when I first started playing Planet Zoo, or even first started this zoo. And it's kind of like a tip within a tip within a tip, this, but the be all and the end all is to have fun. Like, I honestly see so many posts, whether it be on Facebook, you know, Planet Zoo Facebook pages or the Planet Zoo Reddit pages. This is getting me stressed out. Why do my habitats not look like this other person's habitats? Why am I not good? I over 500 hours in this game and my habitats still don't look like this person's habitat. Honestly, just have fun and try not to compare yourself to other people. It's like anything in life. If you keep practicing at something, you will get better at it. And I know a lot of people struggle with creativity, but that's where like Google comes in, isn't it? Like, just Google images of different things and try to recreate them in Planet Zoo. And if you can't recreate them, practice more at the game and you will get to a point where you can recreate stuff in Planet Zoo. But honestly, just try to have fun. This is what the game's about. And I'm going to say something now. if you're not having fun building a zoo in Sandbox mode and you're more about the management side of things, then go and do that. Don't overface yourself by starting a new zoo in Sandbox mode when you can go and play franchise mode and enjoy the managerial aspects, or even go and rerun career mode if you've done it already on a harder difficulty. Honestly, I love Planet Zoo and I want to see people enjoying playing Planet Zoo. And as I leave you with an aerial shot of Nootropic Zoo, by the way, obviously this zoo is not finished. I'm going to extend it and build even more. If you want to see me build in this zoo, by the way, I have got a full playlist and a full episode list of everything I've built in this zoo so far. So if you want to follow on, if you're not already, then hit that subscribe button. If this video did help you, encourage you, or inspire you in any sort of way, I would really appreciate it if you press that like button as well. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.